I would do on generative AI. My overall intent is to clear your concepts in generative AI and take you to the next level when you're trying to empower yourself or you want to upskill yourself. Let me go ahead and share my screen, what I have to share with you on this. So there's a lot of talk which goes on to generative AI perspective. And one thing which I came across, which was a bit interesting to me, is that AI would not replace you. People who are using AI on a day-to-day basis in to do their jobs today, they will definitely replace you in the course of 2 or 3 years coming in from now. So it's important for all of us, wherever we are working or whatever we are doing today, it's important for all of us to understand some basics of generative AI. In the beginning of this video, I would be sharing some of the tools which I came across, which are quite powerful, I think, and can actually simplify your work, your day-to-day work, what you do on a day-to-day basis, and take you to the next level. Let's get started. I don't have a full-scale demo for this, but I would be doing a practical run through with some of those applications. I'm sure all of you have seen this, right? This is ChatGPT, and I'm sure there's a lot of buzz in the internet. A lot of people are talking about it. Yes, it is indeed a great tool. No doubts on that. But how to use this much more effectively is the prime key over here. But for example, I use this explain ChatGPT what this code is all about. And trust me, the logic which ChatGPT gives you is also very effective to understand a code which is beyond your understanding. So if you want to break a particular code, try to understand what's the logic behind it. ChatGPT is great on doing that, and you know all the regular stuff which people are doing in ChatGPT. Great job. No doubts on this. It's a great tool. But apart from ChatGPT, there are other tools as well in the market which are quite effective and powerful. One of them which I came across is Gamma.app, which is kind of a very powerful tool, I would say, when you want to create any custom decks or you want to create let's suppose a competitive deck, or you're creating a presentation for your company or for yourself. Let me show you how this actually works. This is Gamma.app, and if I do a new.ai, there is something called text to deck. Now, if I do this, so I've written, can you help me to generate a deck on medical affairs? I don't know much about medical affairs here, let's suppose, and I want to make a deck which enlightens me on medical affairs. What is medical affairs in life sciences industry? If I just click generate here, and I let's suppose select the title and just do a continue over here. This is actually generating me a deck on medical affairs on the fly. This, taking all the content which the internet has. It's going through all the text which was already the see, this is incredible, guys. Like content, what it creates. Just look into the content it is creating real time. And I actually did a double check on how the content is coming up. It's really up to the mark. The kind of content it creates, the kind of visualizations it creates for your deck. It gives you a very good starting point if you want to explore this particular topic, or if you're creating a deck for your team or your organization, or you're creating a deck for yourself. So I encourage all of you to use the Gamma.app website for sure. It's a great and a very effective way of you know generating decks. There are other as well. There are other websites like Slides GPT. I will mention all the tools in the pinpoint of this video just to make sure all of you are aware of this kind of tools and you can use it to the next level. Okay, another tool which can give a lot of sense to me is the formula. This is a great website if you want to understand any SQL code or you want to type a Microsoft Excel code. For example, I don't remember a code how to join two tables with the inner join in SQL. Okay, help me to and SQL to join to with an inner join. I just write this as a request and tell this application to generate SQL. So you see, this is generating, and you can see the output here. Select star from table one inner join. It exactly gives me the syntax by which I can join two tables and inner join. And this could be any complicated logic. I would encourage all of you to try this. Write three tables, how to join three tables, four tables, and do some subquerying as well if you want to write a SQL. Put that this logic and it gives you the exact SQL what you want. This goes on and on with, you can do it with Excel. Give me syntax, give me and syntax lookup. Okay. If you don't remember, this actually helps you to generate real-time formula for H lookup or V lookup or anything. You can do it for macros, you can do it for any advanced codes, or you can do it for an advanced pivot. So the formula dog thing comes very handy. Another thing I wanted to show you, it's called Merlin. Let me just show you how this actually works for a Google search as well. Now, let's suppose I want to do a Google search on Chrome and I. So can you see one thing here? Like I did, this is the Google search which I did, right? And this is giving me all the results. Can you see there is a summary over here which shows me what is this search all about? Like for example, this is the Merlin thing. It comes as a plugin to your Chrome, where you can see like any Google search you do, it summarizes that Google search for you. You don't have to open a particular page to understand what is troponin. For example, here it's showing me that it's a protein, it's a cardiac biomarker, which gives an early indication if the person has got an acute myocardial infarction. So like you can improvise your Google search a lot with this particular application, and this will typically help you to generate your Google search to the next level. Quite a handy tool for sure. The another interesting one which I came across is kind of a ask your PDF. Okay, so this is also a very interesting one. Let's suppose you are reading through a white paper. You are basically having a PDF document. So you just upload this. Like for example, if I just want to upload a PDF from, let's suppose I go to one of my local folders here, and let's suppose I want to see to any of a white paper summary, like what is that white paper all about. I can actually upload that from my local drive, and it would summarize that white paper, which might be 10 pages or 20 pages or 40 pages. It summarizes that entire white paper in probably uh, you know 4 to 5 lines, which is totally absolutely incredible if you talk about that. So this tool can be very handy for you as well. The another tool which I want to bring into your account, something called Udemy. Now, Udemy is a great tool to understand. Let's suppose you want to do an interview or you want to record yourself. So it's actually free. You can actually sign up to your Google account in Udemy. Let me just try to sign in. It might be using your Gmail. Generally, it works with your Gmail. So if you see here, there is something called practice. So if you do a quick speech here, let's suppose. So if I just try to record myself here right now. So if I said, "Hey, this is Deep Sarkar," and if I just do a record here, so right now, "Hey, this is Deep. I'm doing a video on machine learning, or I'm doing a video on generative AI right now." Everything it's gonna measure my eye contact, my dialogue delivery, create a report real time just to understand how your speech or your interview went through. So I would recommend you guys to try Udemy for sure. because this is a great tool if you want to rehearse for an interview, want to rehearse how you talk, what is your vocab, how many fillers you have, what kind of voice modulation you have, all that stuff. It's incredibly good in doing. So these are the some tools which I wanted to share with you, obviously. But let's get in started. So these are the list of tools I would pin through in my comments here in this video. But I'll aid you to guys to take a second look to it. Also, I would be sharing some of the Chat GPT prompts, which improvises your prompt engineering, or you basically write very effective prompts going forward from that. So that's something I'm going to share as well in this video. But let's get it started to some of the basics of generative AI, because this is quite important for all of us to understand where the generative AI is coming from. If I talk about the evaluation of how it evolved actually, how the evolution of generative AI took across. So here you could see there's a very nice curve which shows that there was machine learning, 10 came deep learning. This is where we are right now. This is where we stand with the foundational models, with the large language models. This is where we are heading towards when it comes to evolution perspective of generative AI. Now, for us to understand where does generative AI fit in, it's very important for us to understand where the fitment of generative AI goes. Now, if you look into this diagram, this is the entire universe of artificial intelligence. Inside that, you could see there is machine learning where you are using all your supervised, unsupervised, your reinforcement learning. And inside that, you can see there is deep learning where you would come across all your artificial neural networks, your cognitive neural networks, your recurrent neural networks, your NLPs. And inside that, if you see the subset deep learning, so we can call generative AI as a subset of deep learning. So it's very important for all of us to understand where does generative AI, get placed in a artificial intelligence perspective. So this gives you a very good understanding where the fitment is. So let's deep dive into some of the fitment of generative AI. Now, you all know what is deep learning, and if you look the deep learning perspective, it is broadly categorized into the discriminative part, where you basically classify, you're doing prediction, you're working on label data sets, which we have seen, right? We do you basically solve a classification or a regression problem using ANNs or any particular technique. This is what we have seen in discriminative part. Now, if we talk about generative part, this is where we generate new data which is kind of trained on some data set. Now the generative angle has two broader perspectives, as you see. One is your generative language models. This is where the text to text, you see the chat GPTs of the world. This is where you input a text and you get some text in output. This is where the generative language models come. And there is a lot of talk about chat GPT and the generative language, other generative language models. But there is also a second part of generative deep learning, and this is where the generative image models comes. And this is a very powerful, part where you actually input a text and it converts that text to an image, or kind of you generate new image to that text, or you can create videos as well. So that is where the generative image models comes into the picture. And that, trust me, there's a lot of talk which goes on generative language models. But if you see due course of time, the generative image models would be evolving a lot. If I talk about generative language models, you might have seen ChatGPT. There is Claude from Google. There's Slam from this is from Meta. And if you talk about image models, you must have heard about DALI, Style GAN. I mean, these are generative image models where you actually input a text. Let's suppose if you tell me that can you generate a solution architecture for a data lake. If you put that in text, it actually shows you how the layers of data lake actually are built. So you can generate this kind of capabilities from the generative image model. So going forward, I would explain you how a generative AI model actually works in very simple and high level. But this is going to be very high level. But I'm going to come with much more videos where we would be digging into how a generative model actually works. Now, if you see in a generative AI model, data is basically inputted. Is there in unstructured content? It could be, Wikipedia files. It could be text files, flat files. It could be hundreds of white papers which is there in the internet. This goes as the input to a generative AI model. The generative AI model basically learns the pattern and distribution in the unstructured content. There is a feedback which actually goes through a human reinforcement learning is required, obviously. This basically gives you output which is kind of a new content. It could be text, it could be image, it could be a music or a video. We have talked about text a lot in ChatGPT. You must have seen how it generates new text for if you ask a question or if you're asking anything specific, it generates text. But generative AI has also capabilities to generate images, music, and videos. Now, how can you differentiate if a model is generative AI or it's not generative AI? If you see when the outputs is kind of a number, it's like a continuous or it can be discrete. If it's a class which is showing you probably this cancer is benign or it's malignant, that's class, or it's showing you a probability or a category. Then those kind of models, if they are generating the kind of outputs, these are not generative AI models. But instead, when you see the outputs are text, or it's an audio, or an image, or a video file, it is definitely generative AI. So fundamentally, you should understand which models are creating generative AI and which are not generative. Let's get started. Let me give you a very simple example of generative AI where you can actually visualize a picture. Let's suppose I'm basically given a book which talks about cats, like how do what kind of food cats like, all the details about cats are there. And let's suppose I took 2 or 3 days to read this book, and then you start coming back to me and starting me questions about cats. Let's suppose someone asks me, "Hey Deep, can you tell me how many hours a cat sleeps?" So I get, yes, I know. They sleep for 18 hours a day. And what kind of foods the cats like? Okay, the cats likes cat food, or they like a lot of fish. They like a lot of bread, butter, whatever. So basically have mastered myself on the knowledge of cats. So if you ask me any question about cats, I can generate a response for that. This is exactly how generative AI model. So if you see in the market, there are there are generative language models. For example, if you basically input a text, it could basically translate. You could see it could summarize. So if you typically talk about ChatGPT here, if you input some text that if you hi hello how are you, can you convert that into French? It will do a translation for you. Or if you give a text for like 100 lines and it tells ChatGPT to summarize that, it will summarize for you. If you ask any Q&A, which is the most hottest country in the world, it will give you all that kind of information. So what you see in blue here is are the capabilities which ChatGPT or GPT-4 has. What you see on red is some of the capabilities which will be coming in the coming releases, probably in GPT-5, GPT-6. You would see a lot of image generation, you would see video generation, you would see text to speech. Let's suppose I like input. How would Joe Biden look when he was 10 years younger from now? It could actually generate that image. It could do great video creation. Like, can you show me a video how clinical data analytics actually works? It could show you a video of like 5 to 10 minutes, like how clinical data analytics takes place. It could do text to speech as well. anything. What you see in red would be the future capabilities of GPTs as well. What you see on a generative image modeling, let's suppose from an image, you want to generate new images, you want to generate a video, or you want to generate another image. All these things would be possible from the generative image models. Like you take an input image and you generate a new image, or you can generate a video, or you can generate a new set of completely different images. That's pretty much what I had for this video. But we would be digging deeper to how ChatGPT is actually trained, how it actually works, all that details in our coming videos. We would see much more depth of generative AI, and we would be digging into some of the much more deeper contents about generative AI. So thanks for watching this video. I look forward to talk with you in the next video.